Hey guys, this is Dan Nichols with the Wedding World podcast. Today on the show, I'm excited to dive in with a wedding veteran, Jamie Flanagan. Jamie's from Michigan, and he's going to share with us a little bit about his disc jockey journey, and also, what he thinks about the wedding receptions and dealing and working with brides. And we're just going to go ahead and dive in with the first question, and I know it's a biggie, and that is, how do you pick the music at your weddings?
Dan, thanks for having me. And yeah, we're DJs, right? We gotta talk about music, right? So that's the crux of what we do. And picking the music at a reception, I don't pick the music; the universe does. Uh, that's just me
Careful.
being weird. It's part of my
Yeah.
But it really does. I mean, every reception is different. Every bride and groom is different, and every crowd is going to be different. So the music just happens. I'm lucky that I have decades of experience and thousands of receptions under my belt, that I know how the universe talks to the music, just to be weird. But the bride and groom, I rely on the bride and groom very heavily, because your people, right? The bride and groom, they know their people. I know music and I know what generally works, but I really rely on a bride and groom to help me out and kind of feed some suggestions. So what I ask a bride and groom to do usually is make a list. And I say, go crazy with the cheese whiz. Just go nuts, right? And sometimes a bride and groom, their music is their life, and they'll come up with a list of like 75, 100 songs. And some brides and grooms, they're hard pressed to pick 5, right? So I say, go crazy. Get that list and just keep going. Have a pad and paper, and when you hear something, write it down. Now, once you have that list, if it turns out to be like this massive 75, 100 songs, what you need to do is go back and, okay, all right, so what do I want to hear that I want to dance to? And that's there's a lot of really great listening music, but not all great listening music is great dancing music. So I ask a bride and groom to pick out 10, 20 songs that is like, I gotta hear these. Me and my boys, or me and my girls, we gotta dance to this one, because it's important, because of college, or it's important because of whatever organization that or outings you used to have, or whatever. So that's what I usually do with the music, is have them do that and bring it down. But then once I'm on site, again, you got to read the crowd, right? You got to let that musical universe talk to you and get in tune with it, because it changes every time. I mean, there's songs that work, 99% of the time. And, I'll use those if a dance floor is struggling, we'll throw one of those hits out there to see if that does it. But I'd much rather go off the beaten path and have some fun with the music and play something that hasn't been played a 1,000 million times. And that's when that list that the bride and groom made for me. Now you have that list of 100 tunes, right? Send it to me, and have your top 20 start off. And then I'll look through the list, and I'll be like, oh, instead of playing this typical song, I could play, this one that suited your fancy or was on your list a little bit more. And then really, it's just as the night unfolds and as the people are dancing and what they're responding to, are they jamming to the oldies a bit more? Do they want new stuff? Do they want, more R&B and funk, or do they want more, poppy dance stuff, or, they want classic rock? And it's as a dance floor tells me, and the universe, tells me what to play. That's what we'll do. And then I make sure I get those 20 tunes that, you gotta hear. I make sure they get on. And then, the party, that from there, it kind of takes care of itself. People are enjoying it. And, it's so that's how we pick the music. We let the universe do it. And you get your
20. Yeah. So, and when you said you get your 20, you mean your 20 gotta haves?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
And it's so often, a bride and groom, come up with a list, and it's the stuff that I would normally play. There are things that were like, yep, Etta James at last, that was going to happen.
Right.
It's a lot of times it's things that were going to happen, that I know work well. So, and sometimes, and again, I like, your people, bride and groom, they know their people. I don't, and sometimes it'll be a request on a thing. I'll be like, oh man, I don't know. And then I play it, and it's like gangbusters, and it's like, cause your people. So it's, I rely heavily on that.
Yeah. The insider track, they know the insider tracks as a bride and groom, if you will, something from their college days
and then it's an art to knit it together though. And that's kind of where our skill comes in after, decades of doing this is piecing it together, so it flows and keeps that dance floor moving all night. I love it. I call it no empty frames. That's my goal. No empty frames. That there's somebody on the dance floor all night long, and that's
Right.
my point of pride. At the end of the night, I'll be packing up my gear, and I'll take a picture of the dance floor at the end of the night, and I'll be like, no empty frames. I get excited. That gets me excited that there are no empty frames.
That's cool. That's cool. And I was reading your bio. You've got quite a musical background and just kind of a radio background on top of what you do as a career full time as well.
Yeah, it's music's been infused in my life. My dad was a band director. Oddly enough, I don't play an instrument, but I got into. I just love music. Always been exposed, to concerts and shows and all types of music. From symphonies and orchestras, chamber music, and then all the rock and the roll and the funk and the disco and so yeah, and just never picked up an instrument, but loved playing music, and I always wanted to be a DJ. I always wanted to play music and be involved with people, and I've been a radio DJ for 20 some years now. I've been at 96.3 WDVD for the last 16 years, and just kind of doing weekends part-time here and there. I teach high school during the week, and
teachers. A shout out to all the teachers, because we know there's a lot of teachers in the wedding world, right? I mean, you work with a lot of them. So this is going to seem like a crazy question, but why is the music important?
It's music, and it goes down to people's psyche. Music transports people back to different places and times in their lives, and they connect to it. And that's why hits are hits, and songs come on the radio and people reach and turn it up, right? Because they're connected to that song. And my hope is that one or two of the tracks I get to play at your wedding will be one of those happy memories for somebody that they can take with them. But the music that's getting played throughout the night, it's connecting with people, and it's reminding them of other great events or other great moments in their lives. And it's just a warm feeling. And so, the music is just incredibly important.
Yeah, it's amazing, because music, as you think about it and as you share that, I love that, the kind of the deeper side of that whole thing. It's the soundtrack of our lives, right? So it takes you back, right? Yeah. Very cool. As a professional, and you had shared with me this before, that it's done over 1,000 wedding receptions. To you, I want to know, what makes a good wedding reception?
That's just a really good question. It's the people and the people watching. I love watching the people, and people a lot of times they'll say what makes a good reception is the food and the music. What people will remember about a wedding is the food and the music. And I want to change that slightly. And I want to say it's the food and the feeling, right? Because a bride and groom go through a lot putting together and planning a wedding, and down to the color scheme and the dresses and the napkins and the cake and the lighting and the decor in the room and the tablecloths and the music is the capstone to all of that. And it's the feeling, right? So what people remember about, was the food good and outstanding? They'll remember that. And then they'll remember the feeling, right? And the music is the capstone to that. And I don't want to be remembered. I don't want to go, oh, wow, that Jamie was great. I want people to remember it was a great feeling. Right. I want brides and grooms to remember me because they've hired me. And then when their friends say, oh, you had a wedding. Did you enjoy your DJ? And then they'll go, yeah, Jamie rocked. He did everything, we wanted. And you need to remember my name so you can tell your friends when they ask you. But I want the people there at the event to have that feeling and have the music and that whole feeling come together for them. And be memorable. And I think that's that mood that you've created, the bride and groom have created through all of their, all their planning and the design and the colors and everything that they pick. And then picking me to help put that capstone of the music on it. It's an important job. It's a hugely important job. And I honored when people ask me to do it.
Yeah, that makes me think of a comment my sister, I remember, made a long time ago, and having talked to so many pros with the podcast, and that she had said to me, a great wedding reception is when it just felt great. And I, occasionally I would say, oh, who is the event planner? Who is this? She goes, I don't know. And who's the DJ? She goes, I don't know. And she goes, maybe that's a good thing. You know, like maybe it's a good thing you don't know who they were. They just work seamlessly in the background to present a great evening.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So with that being said, as a DJ, do you just look at your role? Do you just play the music?
No, and I think that's really a misnomer, and I think that's where some DJs fail. And I think that's where some younger DJs fail. Like I said, literally decades doing this. And, back in the early 90s, when I first kicked this off, I had learning to do, and I didn't do all the things that I do today, and all the details because I've seen things just go, and it's not my responsibility. And I could easily stand behind the DJ stuff and say, well, that's not my job. And just kind of let it go. But it is my job to make sure the bride and groom's day goes as smoothly and seamlessly as possible. And then it makes my job easier. They're in a better mood. The guests are in a better mood. Everybody's informed and entertained. I mean, it's the little things like, we're going to do the toast. Is the champagne poured? Right. The bride and groom, they're going to cut the cake, but they want to wait to after dinner to cut their cake. I can't tell you how many times. Well, I can tell you 3 times I've saved the cake, right? Where the bride and groom are going to cut it after dinner, right? For whatever reason, they were going to cut their cake after dinner. And I'll see like 2 busboys like grabbing the cake and walking away. I'll be like, whoa, 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 whoa. Hey, hang on. The girl in white hasn't had her hands on that yet. Hold on. So, it's helping coordinate and facilitate those things, making sure everybody's seated when the hall needs them to get seated. A hall it's quite a job for a hall to have 150 200 dinners cooked to perfection, hopefully, right, and ready to go, and so people have to be seated and ready to eat when that food is ready, because they want it served at its prime, right? So that's part of the DJ's job too. A good DJ is to help facilitate all those things and make things happen when they're supposed to, or if the photographer's trying to round up people to get pictures, just all the little things that happen that a bride and groom need help with, and that's a big part of my job that a lot of people don't see, and I don't want to see them. I don't want credit for it. Again, the credit for that comes when everybody's in a good mood and all the food and everything's done and they're dancing, they're having fun. That's my payoff.
Right. Yeah, it seems to be a common thread among what I would consider higher end, more seasoned quality wedding vendors in general, whether they be event planners, florists, whatever. They don't look at their job so narrowly, so granularly. You look at it like, hey, man, we're here to help this couple have a great night, and I'll do what it takes to make it happen. And I get that in talking to you. Yeah.
Thank you.
So let me ask you this. So what is it that excites you about doing a wedding reception, as a DJ, that a bride and groom might not even realize?
And it is. It's just for me personally, what I get out of it. It's just the excitement of entertaining people, of helping people have a good time. And again, that's kind of why I said I wanted to get into it, is because I like people. I say other things at other times, but I really do. I like people, and I like seeing people have a good time. There's not many jobs you can have, and again, they say you find a job that you love, you never work a day in your life, right? So, but it's I get to hang out with people who are having like the best day of their life, and I get to be a part of that and facilitate that. So the payoff for me is the people watching, and it's watching the people have a good time and help make that happen with the the songs that I get to pick and put into place for the bride and groom. So it's the payoff for me is the people watching and just watching the people have a great time.
That's cool. On that one, kind of tailing into the last question that I want to ask is, and I find it fascinating, just human nature, and it's obvious in talking to you, and it's interesting, because I think as a disc jockey, you just sort of watch stuff unfold before you, and if you're plugged into it like you are, and I heard you say the universe more than once, and I get that. I just sort of get that. I think that's a cool notion to have, of like, okay, watch this unfold. Things just sort of happen. When was it that you, Jamie Flanagan, said, man, I think I want to be a DJ? When did that happen?
I've always been connected to music, and how I got into it was a buddy had gone to a broadcast school, And then for a part-time job, got a gig doing weddings, and he needed some help moving some equipment. He jacked up his back or whatever. And then he was like, can you help me move my speakers? I'm like, yeah, sure. So I threw on a suit and helped him move his stuff and hung out. And then again, it was just that, wow, these people are having a great time. And, he was doing it. We're doing this. This is cool. I want to do this again, and so it was just, that was the moment, because I'd been to some weddings, but never, we have as a DJ, you have a really unique perspective. You're kind of on the outside looking in, and it was cool to be there on the outside looking in and just watching this thing happen, and just like being able to take part in it. And so that was it, man. Which just went there with my buddy, and I was like, I'm gonna do this again.
That's cool. Did you end up going out with him again after that, or was that kind of you just started going into your own thing?
We launched a business together. Yeah, because he left the little company, and then we said, wow, and we could do this so much better than this, And so he and I went in on equipment together. Patrick Akerley, Tool, my buddy DJ Jamie James and Tool. We did the clubs too, but
I remember years ago.
Those 89X nights.
Yeah. Like your name was all over stuff. Yeah.
But so we were, and then we were doing the weddings too. So we went on partnered up on the gear. And then people were booking us up, and so we bought another one. And then we were each doing it on our own, and then we kind of split off and we're doing it independently. But so we branched off. That was it. Just 2 or 3 gigs for that company, and it was like, hey, we can do this, and we can do it better. And I think I have been, modestly.
Awesome. Hey guys, if you want to get a hold of Jamie, you'll notice that it says djtheweddingday.com. Do you want to also toss out a phone number, Jamie, or are you cool with it?
No, that's pretty much it. So djtheweddingday.com, and just find me there and say, hey. So why my cell is just, I don't really have a business phone, so it's just my cell, 586-531-0565, but it's on the website, and so there you go. DJ Jamie Detroit on all the socials. So if you're looking for me on the social media, DJ Jamie Detroit, and my phone number is everywhere on all of those too. So
okay, cool. Thanks so much, Jamie. It was great to have a real pro on, and that's obvious. That's who you are and what you do. And I just want to thank all the listeners for checking out the Wedding World podcast. And with that, we're gonna hang up. Thanks for being on, Jamie. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Ian.